The year 2046. The Robinson family are lucky enough to get the chance to live on a colony on Alpha Centauri after Earth became uninhabitable. While flying on the shuttle Jupiter 2, Maureen and John try to keep their 3 children entertained by playing cards. But the system advises everyone to wear helmets as the shuttle begins to enter the unknown planet's atmosphere. The autopilot chooses a safe landing trajectory, but as it does so, burning debris flies past and everything changes. The shuttle is carried at high speed and finally hits the surface. The Robinsons try to evacuate, but only the youngest man manages to get out through the main hatch. The others have to make a detour. And while they do, the boy surveys the endless snow-covered desert. As soon as the family is free, Jupiter 2 goes under, along with all the supplies and a chance to take shelter from the cold. John, a serviceman. A month ago, on Christmas Day, he came to visit his family to spend the holidays together, but the news of the meteorite changed their plans. Meanwhile, Maureen notices that her husband's pant leg is torn, proving that the air is not poisonous, and the Robinsons take off their helmets, breathing in the fresh air for the first time in a month. Penny tries to contact someone to no avail, while Maureen, in the meantime, reassures the children that a rescue mission will be sent out for them. In fact, the mother realizes that the things are not that bright. It will soon be nightfall and the temperature will drop to 60 degrees. This means that the capsule will be trapped in ice and the whole family will be left to freeze on the surface. John decides to go down into the sunken shuttle for the battery, but they have time to do it only through the top hatch, into which no one can get but Will. The man is prepared to risk his son, but while he's explaining to the boy what to do, his daughter Judy dives into the water. Judy finds the battery, but it's too late. She doesn't make it to the surface in time and ends up in the ice. Maureen looks over the sensor readings and asks her daughter to calm down. Her suit will withstand the low temperature and maintain oxygen levels for 5 hours, and they'll figure something out in that time. John tries to manually crack the ice. In the meantime, Will tells his father that as they were falling, he noticed white flames, which means there are deposits of magnesium nearby, which burns well. Realizing it's their only chance, the head of the family leaves his daughter Penny as the eldest and goes in search of fuel with his son. Being left at the tent, the girl recalls how recently she was choosing a gift for her father. Having nothing else to do, Penny decides not to waste time and also chops the ice over her sister, keeping her spirits up with various jokes. But despite all her attempts, the girl finds it hard to hold back her tears. John also tries not to get discouraged and cheers up his son. Talking about baseball and biology, the travelers reach the magnesium deposits. Having gathered enough to get Judy out, John is about to leave, but Will falls into an underground tunnel. By this point, Maureen's leg, which she hurt in the fall, has turned to stone, and the girls decide to rescue Mum. Judy directs her sister from under the ice, and Penny does the surgery. Will regains consciousness and emerges from the tunnel and sees before him the forest that used to fill the earth. The boy asks his father to come down quickly, but realizing that he will not have time to free Judy, John tells his son that he will return for him after he has freed his sister. Being left alone, Will recalls how anxious he was before taking the test each family had to pass in order to be allowed to move to the colony. Maureen, too, is plunged into the memories of the ordeal. By breaking the law, the woman changed the results in the program so they wouldn't have to leave their son behind. The boy enters the forest to explore it and try to find survivors. He reaches a spot where the remains of the trees are burning, and there he finds a spaceship of extraterrestrial origin. A moment later, Will notices the ship's owner, a huge robot-like creature. The guy tries to hide from the alien in a tree, but it proves impossible. Meanwhile, John returns to the camp and listens to his wife's complaints about leaving Will melting the ice over Judy. Saving his daughter, the man recalls how Maureen informed him of the divorce. Will almost manages to communicate with the aliens, but the flames come close and some of the robots die. John and Maureen have almost scooped out the water, but it starts to rain, which puts out the fire and fills the hole. Will accepts help from the aliens and is safe. The rest of the Robinsons realize they can't save Judy. She's running out of oxygen and can't melt ice. Penny notices the strange creature, but Will suddenly appears behind it. After assessing the situation, the alien melts the ice and frees the girl. Then things get back to the past. The spaceship, which was also carrying the Robinson family, is attacked by the same aliens and their passengers are destroyed. Someone named June runs up to Dr. Smith and steals his jacket with his name on it to leave the ship as a member of the crew. Running into the landing shuttle Jupiter 18, fake Dr. Smith takes technician Don West and his girlfriend with him, and the trio leave the wrecked station. The shuttle crashes onto an unknown planet. Don's partner dies, but the guy and Smith are lucky enough to make it out of the wreckage. The narrative then switches to the present. The alien makes his way to the Robinson camp, and returning to the frozen pond, he melts the ice and creates a passage to the shuttle. Don and Smith collect items scattered around the ship that may be of use to them. The girl finds the scrapbook of the real doctor she took off her jacket and hides it to avoid being caught. After discovering her partner's body, Don removes her boots, much to Smith's surprise. But the imposter claims the pendant she found on the ground as her own. The alien frees Jupiter 2 from the ice and fixes it after the flood. John, meanwhile, tries to fix the wiring, eyeing the guest with interest. While looking around, Don notices movement and decides to go for it. Smith has to put on the dead girl's shoes, as there is diamond sand beneath his feet. Reluctantly, the lad also takes with him the chicken, which has landed with their shuttle. The Robinsons descend into Jupiter 2 to fix any breakdowns and get the shuttle up and running. Judy creates a 3D printer prosthetic for her mother, and after picking it up, the girl meets the robot that saved her life. Maureen tests the device, and it allows her to walk without even limping. The children find it hard when their parents can't agree to give them different tasks. While cleaning the filters on their mother's errand, Penny sees an explosive cloud rising near them. Before rising to the surface, the couple try to negotiate, but Maureen is convinced that her husband should just not contradict her. John and Maureen set out on a search for survivors, and with them they take Will and his new friend. The girls are instructed by their parents to get Jupiter 2 out. To do this, they have to gradually wind it up, as if rocking it, to prevent the glacier from collapsing. John tries to get a gun, but security protocol at the colony does not allow the use of firearms. In the meantime, Smith and Don make their way out to the wasteland, and it isn't long before they find themselves at the red parachute, which the lad has seen from a distance. Angela, ejected by the parachute, turns up alive, and the pair go into a stupor, unsure of what to do. Penny brings her sister a biscuit, but a signal distracts the girls from their treat. The computer reports that the sleeve is clogged again. Once outside, Penny sees a storm coming at them. There is no way to contact the parents, but Penny thinks they should speed up and save the family. But Judy reminds them that they can't abruptly lift the shuttle. Ignoring her sister, Penny starts the engine and clears the exit from the shuttle. The remaining Robinsons find the wreckage of another shuttle, Jupiter 17, but they encounter no bodies or living humans. But Maureen hears the sound of aliens on the radio. The couple try to find out if the visitor remembers where their ship was left, but Will translates that the alien remembers nothing but the place where they met, and the company decides to go there. Don and Smith are about to move on, and the lad can't leave Angela behind. Handing the poor hand to his girlfriend, he takes the injured woman in his arms, and they head off in the direction of the smoke post. Penny fixes the car. She's going to look for the parents on her own. But Judy is afraid to go with her sister after her experience in the ice captivity, so Penny has to go alone, traversing the snowy slope. After stopping for a rest, Don fires his second flare, but there is no answer. He sees that a storm is approaching, and it is no longer safe to drag Angela. The alien leads the Robinsons to the wrecked ship. While the adults explore it inside, Will teaches his friend to play ball. The toy flies off under an iron piece, and as the robot helps Will to pick it up to retrieve the ball, the boy sees what the alien has recently seen, a mess on the ship that caused them to go astray. Maureen and John at this point also see something interesting. A huge map of an unknown planet, and the entire Milky Way opens up before them. Frightened, Will runs away into the woods, but the alien catches up with him, and he realizes that his friend doesn't remember anything from his past life, though he is aware of his guilt. The robot is a submissive and loyal friend to Will. Smith and Don find shelter from the storm, but the imposter leaves his buddy with Angela and goes off to get help, asking Don to fire one last rocket when he realizes it is time to meet up again. The Robinsons are walking through the woods when a storm catches them, and instead of raindrops, diamond shards fall from the sky. Hiding under a rock, Maureen finally catches the signal and hears Penny's voice. And in order for the girl to find them, the robot turns on a spotlight. After a couple of minutes, the whole family is safe. Don spots the machine and is about to launch one last rocket. Seeing the signal, John turns the rover around and risks being caught in a storm, rushing after the survivors. The Robinsons open the door and drag the imposter Smith in, while Dawn finds the signal gun case empty. John manages to corral the car into the shuttle a second before the storm passes over them. A few months before what happens, Dr. Smith, whose actual name is June, has already tried on someone else's role. By cutting a chip out of his sister, she has stolen her successful life. Maureen explains the situation to the family and insists that they must make contact as soon as possible. But everyone is tired, and the Robinsons ask to let them rest for at least a couple of hours. Only Dr. Smith remains in the room with Maureen, concocting yet another lie as she goes along. Listening to the shifting ice, June can't bring herself to remember her confinement. At night, Smith takes advantage of everyone being asleep and to gather information. She rummages through Robinson's personal belongings. Will can't relax either. In his sleep, the boy sees the robot's memories. The boy goes to the kitchen for refreshments, and Smith tries to gain his trust. But suddenly, everyone wakes up to a glacier collapsing on the shuttle. And trying to start Jupiter 2, John realizes that the storm has clogged the engine and the ventilation, and they won't get out. Another argument ensues between the man and his wife, but Maureen tries to smooth things over and offers to let John work together. Suddenly, it dawns on the man that Dr. Smith must have emergency training, which means she can be assigned important matters. But when Maureen hands out tasks to everyone, the imposter becomes nervous. In the compartment of the 3D printer, Maureen finds traces of printing, and in the software she sees that someone has been printing weapons. She calls for John, and by doing so, saves him from an unknown creature floating in a water-filled compartment.